Okay, so I thought today we might have a look at some fascia release using the Oov. So if you grab your Oov, take the largest point under your armpit and lie on your side. If that feels like it's digging in too much, you can simply turn it a little bit more. Take your other hand to support your head and lie heavy on the Oov. Taking 3 breaths here, we're just trying to let the ribs drop towards the floor and the tissue of the Oov stretch your muscles and your fascia out. 1 more breath here. Then we're going to go that to a little bit of forward rotation, rolling your chest towards the floor and back again. Each time just thinking, getting a little heavier in the Oov and letting the tissue stretch out. Swapping sides. If you feel any tingling or numbness in your hands, you might want to move the Oov a little bit flatter to the floor so it's not quite as sharp. 3 deep breaths, feeling the weight of the ribs stretching away from the underneath of the arm and down to the floor. Inhale, rolling the chest forward. Exhale, rolling back. A nice way to just release the tension that builds up underneath the arm. Into a slightly more familiar one now, to some pelvic curls. Taking the Oov down to the end of your mat, closer it is towards your tailbone, the better the work for your legs, but just make sure you can have your feet flat on the Oov. From there, we're pressing the hands into the mat, lengthening across the collarbones and lifting straight up into a bridge, and exhaling, articulating on the way down. Having a sense of each vertebra moving down one at a time. Bridging up, letting gravity do most of the work for you. Any of those sticky spots, especially around the rib cage, hover there for a second and just let that release. 1 more time. Staying up on this one, floating one arm up, then the other. Keep a check on your pelvis. Is it still the same height? Reach one arm back behind you and return to the start. Other hand back behind you, return to the start. Keep clenching your glutes. Keep trying to keep the pelvis the same height. Both arms back. Both arms out to the side. Hands back on the floor, articulating down. Moving the Oov over onto its front now. This one. And to lie on your stomach, tip of the Oov just underneath the ribs. Lining your fingers up with your shoulders, rolling the shoulders back, hips externally rotated. Imagine you're being lifted by the scruff of the neck, and then get a sense of the sternum, drawing a little pathway to the opposite wall. Lifting as high as you feel comfortable. If you feel anything in your lower back, move higher up the Oov. There's no need to go as high as that if you don't want to. You could just go to there, just enough to open up the chest and feel the back muscles working. 1 more. Really use your arms to help you lift up and stretch. Bringing 2 hands around to the front to rest your head. Making your legs more parallel. Hip extension. Flex the foot. Float the leg up. Try and have a sense of the stretch starting from just underneath the belly button, and feel the back of the leg activating. I'm going to put that together with some arm work, so coming into a little basic back extension, sliding one arm forward, other arm forward, and we're swimming. One arm floats up, opposite leg floats up. Same idea as before, trying to get that sense of length through the front of the body, activation through the back. 1 more each side. Push yourself back onto your heels. Bit of a low back stretch. And to finish off, a bit of standing work. I'll do socks off for this. Hard enough without slipping. First foot goes into the neck of the Oov. This first little movement is just a forward lunge, not really a balance challenge at this stage, it's just about stretching the tissue underneath the foot and waking up those proprioceptors. Swapping legs, the other foot's going to go onto the fatter part of the Oov. Same idea. Try not to let the Oov rock too far forward because you'll be balancing on this in a minute. First foot goes back into its position. Take your time to feel the stability in that foot before you place the other foot on top, and then we're walking uphill, pressing that leg into the Oov, growing tall and lowering down. Nice little activation for the glutes. Good bit of exercise for your foot. From here, we're just dropping the center of gravity, taking your time. Nice little practice here to simply fold at the hip. And where does your weight go? Can you keep it centered, or does it tip forward or back? Lightly touching two ends of the Oov, taking your time to come back up. Quite tricky. And careful to dismount. Other side. Starting with just the foot mobilizing. 3 little presses, feeling that tissue stretching out. Onto the higher part of the Oov, same idea. Bring the 2 feet onto the Oov, taking your time with each stage so you feel nice and secure. Stepping up the hill and stepping down. Feeling the glute on the outside of your leg, helping to lift you up. Give yourself a minute, drop your center of gravity, flex at the hips, squatting down, touching 2 sides of the Oov, growing tall, careful as you dismount. And if that wasn't enough of a challenge, turn the Oov slightly on its side. Foot goes into the center, second toe in the groove. For those of us who's a little bit tight through that big toe, it's quite nice to give yourself a minute to stretch that out. Take a second, get your balance. Place the other foot on top, and we're going up the mountain again. Growing tall and stepping back. Feeling the stretch through the feet, the activation through the glutes. Stepping off carefully. Other foot. Taking that big toe out to the side to encourage a little bit more expansion. Taking your time to grow tall. Pointing up towards the ceiling, I find always helps. Last one. Careful stepping off. Enjoy.